You matched with someone amazing. They seem great. You're excited. So you plan the first date. Dinner at a decent restaurant. Not even fancy, just respectable. A cocktail bar after. Maybe an Uber there and back because you want to make a good impression and not show up sweaty from the subway. You check your bank account the next morning. $187 gone. One night, one person, one chance at a connection. And here's the kicker. You have no idea if there's going to be a second date. You just spent what some people in the world earn in a week for 3 hours of conversation and split calamari. Now multiply that by 4 dates a month. That's almost $9 grand a year. And that's assuming you're being conservative. That's assuming you're not buying new clothes, paying for dating apps, upgrading your grooming routine, or joining that gym membership because you want to look your best. Welcome to 2026, where finding love has become a luxury expense that most people can't afford, but somehow feel obligated to pay for anyway. David here, and today at David Capital, we're breaking down the economics of modern dating and why, if you're someone earning a median salary and actively trying to find a partner, you might be unknowingly committing financial suicide. If you're stuck in the loop of swiping, spending, and wondering why your savings account never grows, make sure to subscribe to the channel and give this video a thumbs up if you find it helpful. Let's get into it. Here's what nobody wants to say out loud. Dating in 2026 has become a pay-to-play system, and most people are losing. We romanticize putting yourself out there. We tell people you have to invest in yourself, and don't be cheap when it comes to love. But nobody runs the actual numbers. Nobody calculates the ROE. Nobody asks the uncomfortable question, what is the cost per acquisition of a romantic partner in 2026? Because if we did, we'd realize that for the average person, particularly men, but increasingly women too, modern dating is structured like a subscription service with no guaranteed outcome. You're paying monthly fees, per interaction costs, and opportunity costs, all for access to a marketplace that's become brutally inefficient. Look, I'm not here to be cynical about love. I'm here to be mathematical about reality. And the reality is this: if you're spending 10 to 15% of your post-tax income just trying to meet someone, you are financially handicapping your future and the future of any relationship you do manage to build. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Jordan, software developer, 28 years old, making about $65,000 in a mid-sized city, not struggling, but not rich either. Jordan came to me last year because he couldn't figure out why, despite having a good job, he had basically no savings and was carrying a credit card balance that kept growing. We sat down and went through his expenses: rent, utilities, car payment, all normal. Then we got to a category he'd labeled social and entertainment. I asked him to break it down. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through Venmo, his credit card app, and we started adding it up. Dating apps with premium features. 2, sometimes 3 dinners a week. Ubers everywhere. New clothes because first impressions matter. Haircuts every 2 weeks instead of every month because he always had dates lined up. He looked at me and went quiet for a minute. Then he said, "Oh my God, I'm spending like $8,000 a year trying to find a girlfriend." And here's the worst part. In the 18 months he'd been doing this, he'd had exactly one relationship that lasted 4 months. Think about that. 12 grand for 6 months of companionship. That's like leasing a luxury car. Except at the end, you don't even get to keep the car. Let's break it down. Let's take Alex. Median salary takes home about $44,000 after taxes. That's roughly $3,600 a month. Alex is single. Alex wants to find a partner. So Alex does what everyone does. Dating apps with premium features because the free version feels like you're invisible. A couple of dates every week because you're putting yourself out there. Ubers because showing up sweaty isn't the vibe. New outfits every few months. Haircuts more often. A gym membership you actually use now. All the little things that add up. When you add it all up, Alex is spending about $770 a month on dating. That's 21% of take-home pay every single month. Now here's what's insidious about this. Alex doesn't feel like he's spending that much because it's spread out. It's $30 here, $85 there, $120 on Friday night. It doesn't feel like a car payment. It doesn't feel like rent, but it's there every single month, slowly draining the account. And when Alex sits down at the end of the year wondering why there's no money for that vacation, no emergency fund, no progress on student loans, this is why. Death by 1,000 swipes. Here's where it gets painful. That $770 a month, if Alex just put that into an index fund instead of into dating, in 10 years, that would turn into over $150,000. Let me say that again, $150,000. That's a down payment on a house. That's seed capital for a business. That's the difference between living paycheck to paycheck at 35 and having options. Instead, Alex has a phone full of dead-end conversations, a few almost relationships, and a credit card balance. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about the asymmetry in dating costs, because this is where people get defensive. For men, the social expectation is still pretty clear. You pay. A study from last year showed that in about 3 out of 4 first dates, the guy picks up the full check. That's your $120 dinner right there. But women face a completely different tax. Let me tell you about Sarah. Sarah is a marketing manager, 31, making decent money, about $62,000. She came to me frustrated because she felt broke all the time despite having a good salary. When we went through her expenses, we found something crazy. Hair salon visits every 6 weeks, highlights, color correction, the whole thing. Nails done every 2 weeks because chipped nails apparently send a signal. Lash extensions that need refills constantly. A skincare routine that costs more than most people's grocery budget. Waxing appointments, gym membership, plus boutique fitness classes because regular gyms aren't enough anymore. And a wardrobe that needs constant updates because everything has to photograph well for the Instagram era of dating. When we added it all up, Sarah was spending over $1,000 a month just on appearance maintenance. And here's what broke my heart. She looked at me and said, "I don't even like half of this stuff, but if I show up to a date with roots showing, no lashes, and a face that looks tired, I'm invisible. The guys I match with are matching with girls who look like Instagram models. I'm just trying to compete." So here's the reality. Both genders are getting crushed, just in different categories. The dating economy has created parallel taxation systems, and both lead to the same destination: financial stress and emotional exhaustion. And we haven't even talked about what the apps themselves are doing. See, dating apps in 2026 are not designed to get you into a relationship quickly. Think about it. What happens to Tinder's revenue when you meet someone and delete the app? It goes to zero. So what do they optimize for? Engagement. They want you swiping, matching, messaging, but not quite connecting. They want you frustrated enough to buy the premium features. Maybe if I boost my profile, maybe if I can see who liked me first, maybe if I upgrade to platinum. A guy I know, we'll call him Chris, spent over $300 in 1 month on app features, boosts, super likes, premium access on multiple platforms. You know how many actual dates that led to? 2. He would have been better off just walking up to people at a coffee shop. At least that's free. The apps have turned dating into a slot machine. Just enough wins to keep you playing, but never enough to make you leave the casino. Now you might be thinking, "David, this is just what dating costs now. What am I supposed to do? Stay home alone forever?" No, but here's what most people don't realize. You've been sold a bill of goods. The dating app companies, the restaurants, the bars, the lifestyle brands, the beauty industry, they've monetized your loneliness. They've turned your biological need for connection into a revenue stream. And the worst part? They've convinced you that if you don't spend this money, you're not serious about finding someone. That's the scam. Because here's the truth. The most successful relationships are not built on expensive first impressions. They're built on compatibility, shared values, and timing. And none of those things require you to drop $120 on overpriced pasta. I know a couple, been together 6 years now, married for 2, who met at a free community garden volunteer day. Their first date was planting tomatoes and then splitting a $6 sandwich. They laugh about it now. She said, "I knew he was the one when he didn't try to impress me with money. He just showed up as himself." Another couple I know met at a bookstore. They both reached for the same book, started chatting, ended up getting coffee next door, $8 total. They've been together 5 years. The current dating economy is optimized for spending, not for connection. And until you understand that, you'll keep hemorrhaging money while wondering why you feel emptier than ever. So what's the solution? How do you date in 2026 without going broke? You treat it like a business decision, because right now, that's what it is. You set a budget, you track your ROI, and you ruthlessly optimize for efficiency. Here's the framework. Phase 1, the audit. Stop the financial bleeding. Get clear on what you're actually spending. Look, most people have no idea what they're really spending on dating. It's invisible because it's spread across multiple apps, multiple credit cards, cash, Venmo. So here's what you do. For 1 month, track everything. Every app subscription, every date, every Uber, every new shirt you bought because you had a date, every haircut that was, oh, I need to look good this weekend, everything. Then sit down with that number and ask yourself, if I keep spending like this, where will I be in a year? In 5 years? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, good. That discomfort is information. Next, set a hard budget. I recommend 5 to 7% of your take-home pay maximum. For most people, that's $200 to $300 a month. And here's the key. When it's gone, you're done for the month. No exceptions. Cancel the premium dating apps. The free versions work fine. The paid features are just designed to make you feel like you're doing something productive, when really you're just gambling. Real example. Remember Marcus from earlier? The guy who spent $14,000 in 1 year? When he finally tracked his spending and saw that number, he said it felt like getting punched in the stomach. He realized he was using dates as validation. Each match, each date was a little hit of, I'm still desirable. He wasn't looking for a partner. He was medicating loneliness with spending. Once he cut his budget to $200 a month and started going to therapy instead, everything changed. 4 months later, he met his now wife at a free yoga class in the park. They've been married 3 years. Phase 2, optimization. Goal, maximize connection per dollar spent. Here's the thing about expensive dates. They're usually terrible for actually getting to know someone. You're sitting across a table at a loud restaurant, trying to have a conversation over background noise, worried about what to order, whether there's food in your teeth, how much the bill is going to be. Compare that to a walk in a park, a free museum day, cooking together at home on a second or third date. You're moving. You're doing something together. The conversation flows naturally and you're not performing. You're just being. And here's what's crazy. The cheap dates are usually more memorable. Think about your own life. What do you remember more? The 15th expensive dinner you've had? Or that time you and someone climbed a hill to watch the sunset and talked for 3 hours? So here's the strategy. First dates should cost less than $30. Period. Coffee and a walk, a museum, a bookstore, and then a cheap lunch. If someone's genuinely interested in you, they'll say yes. If they need you to spend money to be interested, you just saved yourself months of financial and emotional pain. Use dating apps for 30 minutes a day maximum. Be selective. Swipe with intention, not boredom. If you're swiping while watching Netflix, you're not being strategic. You're just gambling. And here's the most underrated strategy. Leverage your actual network. Ask friends to introduce you. Join groups based on your interests. Book clubs, sports leagues, volunteer organizations. The people you meet there already have something in common with you. That's a head start. Phase 3, abundance goal. Build a life so compelling that dating becomes a side effect, not a project. Here's what I want you to do. Take that $500, $600, $700 a month you were spending on dating. Split it in half. Half goes into investments, index funds, Roth IRA, whatever. Just start building wealth. The other half, invest in becoming interesting. Not attractive to others interesting, actually interesting to yourself. Learn to cook really well. Take a photography class. Get really good at something. Build things. Create art. Learn a language. Travel. Whatever lights you up. Because here's what happens. When you're building a rich, full life, you stop radiating desperation. You stop looking for someone to complete you. You become someone who has a great life and is open to sharing it with the right person. And that's magnetic. People can smell desperation from a mile away, but they can also sense abundance. They can sense when someone is genuinely happy and just open to connection versus someone who needs a relationship to feel okay. Track your net worth every quarter. Watch it grow. That builds real confidence, not the fake kind that comes from buying new clothes or a new watch. Real confidence that comes from knowing you're building something solid. Now you might be thinking, David, I can barely get matches as it is. If I cheap out on dates, I'll have no chance. Let me tell you something. If someone's interest in you is contingent on how much you spend, you're not building a relationship. You're renting attention. Look, I get it. There's social pressure. There's the fear of being judged as low value or not generous. I've heard it all. She'll think I'm broke. He'll think I'm boring. I'll get rejected. But here's the reality. The right person will appreciate creativity over expense. The right person will respect your financial boundaries. The right person will want to build with you, not extract from you. If someone ghosts you because you suggested a coffee date instead of an expensive restaurant, congratulations. You just saved yourself $9,000 and 6 months of misery. That's not a loss. That's a filter working exactly as intended. And here's another thing nobody talks about. The high-maintenance pattern doesn't stop after you're in a relationship. If you set the precedent that love equals spending, you're building a financial prison for yourself. Expensive dates become expensive gifts, become expensive vacations, become expensive lifestyle expectations, become arguments about money, become therapy, become divorce. I've seen it happen over and over. The relationship that starts with, "I need to impress them," never transitions to, "We're a team managing resources together." It just escalates until someone breaks. Here's the thing they don't tell you in rom-coms or on Instagram. The best relationships are not escapes from financial struggle. They're partnerships built on financial stability. When you're broke from dating, you're not showing up as your best self. You're anxious about the bill. You're mentally calculating whether you can afford another round of drinks. You're stretched thin. You're performing instead of being. And that's not attractive to anyone, least of all to yourself. True freedom in dating, in life, comes from optionality. It comes from knowing you can choose to go on a date because you want to, not because you've invested so much already that you feel trapped by sunk costs. It comes from building a life where you're not dependent on another person to complete you financially or emotionally, but where you're open, abundant, and ready to share your success. Think about the relationship you actually want. Do you want someone who's attracted to your wallet or attracted to you? Do you want to start a relationship in debt and stress, or from a foundation of stability? Do you want a partner who needs constant expensive validation, or someone who's secure enough to enjoy a sunset and a home-cooked meal? The person you meet while you're financially stressed and desperate is not going to be the same quality as the person you meet when you're stable and centered. That's just reality. So yes, dating in 2026 is expensive. The system is designed to extract maximum dollars for minimum guarantees. Dating apps profit from your loneliness. Restaurants profit from your need to impress. The beauty and fashion industries profit from your insecurity. But you don't have to play by those rules. Set your budget. Optimize for connection, not spectacle. Build your life first. Invest in yourself, your skills, your net worth, your mental health, your interests. Become someone interesting, not just someone who can afford interesting experiences. And when the right person shows up, and they will, you'll have something real to offer. Not just money spent on appearances, but a future built on solid ground. You'll have options. You'll have stability. You'll have the freedom to choose them because you want to, not because you need to. Because here's the truth. Love might be priceless, but dating has a cost. And if you don't control that cost, it will control you. The dating market in 2026 is brutal, inefficient, and expensive. But the people who win aren't the ones who spend the most. They're the ones who understand the game, refuse to play by rigged rules, and build something valuable enough that the right person wants in. Be that person. If this video made you rethink how you approach dating and money, hit that like button and subscribe to David Capital for more counterintuitive financial breakdowns. Drop a comment below. What's the most you've ever spent trying to find someone? Was it worth it? Let's talk about it. And if you're stuck in the dating spending cycle and want to break free, I've got resources in the description, budget templates, creative date ideas, and a full guide on building financial stability while staying open to connection. Until next time, stay sharp, stay solvent, and remember, your worth is not measured by your bar tab. David out.